Hi, everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek, and I'm back today because we are going to spend some time talking about Star Trek Voyager Ghost of a Chance. This is the seventh novel in the Voyager numbered series, and this was written by Mark A. Garland and Charles G. McGraw, who are both newcomers to the world of Trek novels. Ghost of a Chance was an interesting read for me. I'd enjoyed it very much, but I had so little time each day, I basically read it for just a little bit each night. So it stretched out over a period of maybe 10 to 11 days. Yep, started on the 15th, finished just today, so 11 days, and I wish I had more time to give it because it was an interesting novel with a lot of fun concepts, and I'm just enjoying kind of getting into this whole new Voyager stories. All these new Voyager stories are a thing for me, and I'm loving it. So, let's read from the back here. Badly damaged by a close encounter with a dwarf star, the USS Voyager discovers a world being torn apart by awesome volcanic stresses. The primitive inhabitants of Dranar 4 face extinction unless the starship Voyager intervenes, something the Prime Directive forbids. Captain Janeway's dilemma is complicated by the arrival of another starship. The Televec offer aid to both the Voyager and the endangered planet, but their offer may be too good to be true. Strange, ghostly visions trouble Janeway and her crew, warning them of danger to come. Caught between uncertain allies and the threat of a global catastrophe, Janeway learns that the spectral warnings are very real. Not bad. Doesn't give away too much, kind of makes you interested, draws you into something that's going on there. So there's definitely a lot going on in this book. You have... Alright, so before we get into the spoiler discussion, we'll just kind of briefly go over what you've got here. So you have a very interesting dilemma put forward to the crew of the Voyager. What can they possibly do in this situation when they feel like they have to do something, but what can they do, So, very interesting stuff there. The species, the Televec, they got into them somewhat, and they're kind of an interesting people. They're not the most compelling, enemies in the story, I guess, but there are some interesting things about them. But all in all, they just kind of paled, I guess, in comparison to some other past species and villains, But, again, the book, all in all, it took you for a fun ride. It starts you out and gives you, some mystery. You're trying to figure out what's going on. The whole thing with the ghosts starts out... I don't know. That kind of, I think, was one part that was kind of strange and maybe wound up a little bit fast in the end. But the story really shines, I think, in, for me, seeing the crew work to their potential, seeing people rise up to the occasion. Specifically, B'Elanna, Kim, both have great moments in this. Paris as well. I mean, I really I think the authors made a point to have everybody have their kind of moment in the sun here. And that was great. So, the species on the planet, they were the Dranar. They were, I think, interesting as well. And it was nice to see just kind of how, the away team kind of grew close to them and was, wanting to, do what they could to break the Prime Directive or whatever to help them in what they needed to do. So, so without going any further into detail, I would say a fun little Voyager book. I mean, I say this about every book that I read. It's a fun book. Every book that I read is a fun book. I love all the books that I read. So what does that opinion really matter to anyone? But if you must know, I enjoyed it, and I wish that I had read it over a course of 4 to 5 days instead of 10 to 11. Because I think I would have gotten, more out of it maybe. But as it was good. Now, before we get too much into the discussion of the book, we will talk a little bit about what the authors themselves, kind of said and came up with. And And I always like these kind of collaborations too, because it's fun to see what these two people can come up with. And the way they did it was basically one writer would write a draft, send it off to the other one who would rewrite it, and they would kind of work together during that process. And over the course of doing that a few times, they came up with the final cut here. So, but I liked what the author Mark Garland was saying here, and basically what he was saying was that he feels that there should be more Trek. Specifically, the quote is, "There should be, I think, a Star Trek feature film every Christmas, reliable as can be." And can you imagine such a thing? I mean, right now we're living pretty well in the world of Star Trek media, with already so many shows being produced. But I just like that the point that this guy was making back in this day, oh my gosh, like 30 years ago, or no, 20 some years ago. And then, of course, we had that giant lull where there was nothing, and then now we're living in this here and now where we have all this kind of coming. So it is good, I guess. And I hope that Mr. Garland is able to see and enjoy that. So, all right, so if you don't want any spoilers, you can leave now. I'm just going to kind of ramble about the book for the next several minutes until, we get to the end. So the book starts out, of course, with they've got some advice from Neelix, I think, about a good place they can go to get some, refill their supplies, do some things like that. But when they get there, they're met with an unexpected dwarf star. And basically, they come out of warp, they hit that thing's gravity well, bing, bang, boom, they're in trouble. And they're able to work their way out of it in what is the kind of like the fun first little action sequence of the book, But they get out of it, and then they see a nearby planet, and they're hoping that this nearby planet there might be, some way to repair their downed systems. And they did take quite a bit of damage, so they have phasers offline, other systems offline. Things aren't looking good. Now, in the meantime, Chakotay has a dream. Basically, he sees the people kind of devastated and destroyed, and it all amounts to a cry for help. So, and he takes that to the captain, and it turns out he's not the only one as well. So they feel that it must have something to do with this planet, so they agree that they're going to approach the planet and investigate. And forgive me if my details here go awry, because I promised to be a good note taker with this one, and I just look, it's upside down, but look at, I did terrible. I did most of this just today, getting ready to talk about the book here. So, all right, where do we go from here? They approach the planet, and they are met with another ship. The Televac are also there at the planet, and they claim to be there to also see what they can do to help. The planet right now is under intense gravimetric stress, I guess you would say. With the arrival of this new dwarf star, the moons in the system have been messed up, and the planet is currently pulling itself apart. So the Televac are there, and they claim to be there to kind of help or whatever. That was close. I almost spilled this giant water. Anyway, the Televac. They claim to be there to help. They want to send over some envoys to kind of help smooth things over. So they do that, and they send over these 3 envoys, and they are Tresse, Mila, and another guy. But anyway, they call themselves the Drosary, and they say that they're not actually Televac. However, they kind of work for the Televac to, get their message across. And this is just how the Televac do business. But now, we know that's kind of not true, because we've already been given a little bit of insight into some of the Televac crew. And they are a very strange kind of people. They are all kind of based upon, what they can do and, what they can accomplish. And so, like, if they can't accomplish anything, then nothing can be, like they're not able to move up in their class, in their system. Um, so they go into it a little bit, and really, I guess the main thing is that they're up to something, definitely. So you kind of know something's going on. And then when you have these three Droseri on the ship, you can also tell they're up to something. They're really like buddying up to everybody. Uh, One of them buddies up to Tom Paris, and one of them buddies up to Chakotay, and they're basically trying to like just make friends and kind of worm their way in there. And you can almost tell by the way that the writers have wrote it that they have something. There's something more going on. They're not just very charming people, but there's something more going on here. So you have that going on, and then now on the planet, they're unable to see what's going on. They can't scan because of all the interference or everything. But Janeway wants to see what's going on down there. So they send a shuttle down. Well, she goes down, and she takes Tuvok and Kim with her. And on the way down, they are blasted by the Drosari. Or not the Drosari, but the Televec. And then they kind of basically claim, it's just a... We didn't... here's what it was. They were trying to ward them off from the planet because the planet has some defense mechanism that would have destroyed them. But anyway, their shot made the shuttle crash, and now you have Janeway, Tuvok, and Kim on the planet, and you get to follow their kind of little adventure there, meeting the Drenarians, learning more about their culture, and then you have Up in Space with Chakotay up in charge, taking care of the negotiations with the Drosari. And this is kind of where things start to really pick up and get interesting. Down on the planet, things are going bad. I mean, basically the planet is ripping itself apart, so Janeway gets caught in an upheaval and is hurt. She wakes up in the care of these Drenarians, and they kind of bring her back to health, and then Tuvok and Kim are there as well. But this is when they find out a little bit more information about kind of what's going on. And basically what happened is when this dwarf star came into the system, it pulled a moon out of alignment out of another system. And now with this third moon orbiting this planet, that's what's causing it to rip apart. So now that they have some information, they're trying to figure out a way they can communicate that to the ship. So they're trying to find a way to get a hold of the ship, which they eventually do. And they get a garbled message through to the ship, and the ship is able to pick it up enough where they're able to figure it out that the moons are the cause of the distress and they need to do something. So they put the problem on B'Elanna Torres, who comes up with a plan to move the moons. So kind of that's where they're going from here. So you have these, and then down on the planet as well, you find out that there's a second Televec ship which has landed and is trying to find out what this mysterious power source is that they can detect beneath the planet. So far, they've been unable to get there, and basically their crew down there, which consists of this Televec named Gantel, they're not able to accomplish anything. They're not able to get close to whatever this thing is, and basically their mission has been a failure down there. But they have killed several Drenarians while they've been down there, so that's not good, right? The Televec are jerks. So back on the planet, or on the ship, what we find out, the Droseri are actually just Televecs, and they were lying the whole time. So they jump the bridge crew, and actually kind of get the jump on the bridge crew, and are able to, for a very brief moment, have control of the bridge. But thanks to the quick thinking of B'Elanna Torres, who was already very suspicious, she's able to very quickly work their way out of the situation in a good way, because of course people in this quadrant, they don't know about the transporter system. So she's able to beam the three Drosari basically right from where they're at, right into the brig. They retake control of the ship and retake control of the situation there. So back on the planet, things are getting worse, things are breaking up, and now the away team is being pursued by the Televec away team, which is on the planet. So in addition to having some fun space battles, now you have this kind of Basically, the plan is they have to get to their shuttle, get Tuvok inside of it so he can start repairs, and then they're trying to like draw all the other people away in the meantime. So you have a fun little land battle here too, where things are kind of coming right down to the end, and it doesn't look like they're going to make it, but they're rescued in the end by, luckily by Chakotay, and through some quick thinking of Kim and Tuvok, and just that was another part I thought the book was very good. So now they have everyone back on board, and they have to come up with a solution. Time is running out. The rest of the Televec fleet is basically on its way to the planet now. The second ship has taken off. This is the one that was on the planet. They've already kind of fought with the first ship and have been able to disable it. Now the second ship has taken off, but they're basically kind of struggling now to buy time so that they can do what they need to do on the planet. And what they need to do on the planet, which I haven't covered yet, is oh yes, okay. So Chakotay and Janeway beam down to the energy source. Of course, all the work that Televec did to get to it, drilling and all this, that wouldn't work. Transporter system, beam you right through. So they're in there, they figure out what it is, and it's like the power system that protects the planet, right? And they need to get it powered back up again. And they notice that it's powered by lava. And then with all the recent tectonic shifts and whatnot, the lava went another way, the lava hardened. So they have to drop a big bomb in, blow it up, the lava comes out, the lava powers the system, and then they're back in business. So they get to do that. They have this bomb set, and they set a timer. And they have 4.5 minutes before it's going to go and blow the whole chamber. And then up in space, you have this wonderful little space battle going on where they're trying to buy enough time to basically let Chakotay and Janeway complete their mission. They also have to find a way to somehow disable this Televec ship, which is pursuing them, and also find a time to drop shields and beam up Chakotay and Janeway before time is up. So without going into it, they do all that. And one of what I think was probably the best couple chapters of the book, a very fun and exciting ending where they kind of bring it all together. Everybody pitches in and they get something done. They save the planet, and in the end, the defense system comes back online, activates, and basically wrecks the Televec fleet as it comes flying in. The fleet backtracks and escapes the galaxy, and then the Voyager crew, they kind of salvage the other ships that are still there, and they get the pieces that they need to fix their phasers and fix everything else, and they're able to kind of move on from there, having saved the Drenarians, given their planet, life when they had basically 24 hours left before it ripped itself apart, and they're able to fix their ship and even come up with kind of a new cache of supplies to move forward to the next adventure. So, just a fun little Voyager story. And again, it's just, I think there's something about these. It's that you've seen the show and you've watched the episodes, you watch them again and again and again, and you want new stories. You want to have a new story to be told, and there's just so many of them. And this was a fun one. And I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to make a pledge right here, right now, that I'm going to finish this one before the end of this month. We'll make it a 4 Voyager month, which is not bad. Be right back. Okay, here we are. Wow, look at this. This cover looks really cool. Okay. So we're going to be going to S.N. Lewitt's Cyber Song, which of course you've been following along. You know it in 7 and 8. Go right in line there. So Cyber Song by S.N. Lewitt coming up next. And we're going to jump right into that right now, right here, after we shut this off. So, wow, that was fun. I miss talking about Star Trek books with you guys. Anyway, thank you so much for sitting here and listening to me for the past 19 minutes and 41 seconds. As always, everybody, live long and prosper. And we'll see you guys on the 31st at the very latest to talk about Cyber Song. Have a good night.